Hello and welcome to the channel. How's it going, everybody? My name is MrHurriicane, and today we're talking about some more Madden 18 news. I wasn't sure if we'd get a blog here about franchise mode, but we have, and I'm diving into that today. It is linked down below in the description if you wish to follow along, and there are a lot of things to get around to in this article, some things I am excited about in regards to franchise and Madden 18, although it doesn't seem like anything revolutionary, but still some things that I've been wanting for a while. So let's dive into the info and see what's up. We lead with Play Now Live, which is a new feature in Madden 18 that kind of coincides with the actual NFL season. So in the paragraph it mentions that you'll jump into the stories as they are happening around the league with Play Now Live matchups posted each week with up-to-date stats, rosters, and commentary, ensuring you have a rich and deep experience. Excited about Sunday's primetime game? Head into Play Now Live and experience it on the field before you watch it on TV. I still wonder how big of a deal Play Now Live is going to be, just because it's an exhibition-focused deal against the computer. It's cool that commentary is up to date and they have the rosters, but it's actually the next section that talks about where Play Now Live could actually be very useful. At the end of each Play Now Live matchup, seamlessly continue your team's season by using brand new customization options. Play a simple season that gets you from game to game as fast as possible, or play a full control season to manage and improve your team as you see fit. Customize your experience even further with a new suite of options. So if you play a matchup that you're looking forward to and you like using the team that you played with, you could finish off an entire season with them. I'm not sure if you can do like a full-on franchise mode from there and go through multiple seasons. I mean, you would think so, and in the off-season free agent bidding, I mean, why would that be an option if you couldn't go through multiple seasons? So it looks like you can just go straight into a franchise with that team after the Play Now Live game. And what's cool is you can pick up where that left off, obviously. You don't have to start over brand new, and you have the, I'm assuming, all the same stats and the roster's set and everything is up to date, but you can just start it at a later date. So that flexibility is kind of cool. I can definitely see this feature helping new players get into franchise mode for the first time, and I definitely want to see more people try franchise mode and hopefully enjoy it the way a lot of us do. So you can pick up where you left off in Play Now Live, and you have all these options for basically automatic or manual control over injuries, free agent bidding, cut days, contract negotiations, scouting, all that good stuff. Next up, we have franchise starting points. You can start your franchise from any point in the season using starting points for Cloud Franchise. A starting point will be added each week of the season to let you jump into a league with no simming required. Starting points reflect the major storylines in franchise as the year goes on. For example, if the Cleveland Browns decide at the end of the preseason to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, you could start preseason week 1 with him on New England, or start right in the regular season week 1 after the trade occurred. Starting points brings more authenticity to your franchise experience. And this is good for those that want like up-to-date transactions, and that's something that I want, especially because my franchises tend to start after rosters are set and some moves have been made. With my franchises, I kind of like the NFL to control how the preseason goes, so I prefer to pick up like in week 1 when rosters are set. So I think I'll actually be using this feature. So I expect that to have the final rosters and the up-to-date injuries and whatnot. I like to begin my franchises in week 1. I don't like playing the first initial preseason because I was already watching preseason games leading up to Madden's release, so I don't want to redo that. I like picking up in week 1. So the one nice change in Madden 18 franchise, we have customizable draft boards this year. So you can sort your draft board and drag and drop players the way that you want to, and that is just useful for when the draft comes and you have all these players on your board you're interested in, but you can have some pre-done rankings for yourself, and perhaps after Combine you can tweak those a little bit. But this just makes it easier to target your favorite prospects and to make sure you're not missing anybody or forgetting about a certain player. There are a lot of different draft picks and many picks that you can make during the draft, so I like this draft board feature. Next up, draft logic. Whether you missed the draft in your multi-user league or sim past one playing solo, the CPU will make decisions based on your draft board. For a more authentic drafting process, we've added a max drafted player per position limit and a cooldown per position when the CPU is drafting. Expect the CPU to draft more authentically in Madden 18. That is definitely something I wanted to see addressed. The CPU does two things that bugs me during the draft. First, they double, sometimes triple or quadruple up on positions. I've seen a bunch of running backs taken in a row. I've seen in my franchise the Falcons win the Super Bowl, then draft a quarterback at 32, and then trade up to draft one at 33. That right there is a combination of my two biggest gripes with the draft logic. One, they're taking two quarterbacks in a row. Two, they're not valuing their future draft capital and they will trade up and not hesitate to leave themselves with 2 or 3 picks for the future. Now, sometimes teams will double up on positions. We saw that with the Panthers this offseason as they drafted Christian McCaffrey and then Curtis Samuel. But I think for a good rule of thumb for the draft logic, having a cooldown here is a good thing. Also, for those that can't make their drafts or just want to sim it, at least it's going to follow the logic of your draft board. So that's kind of useful if for whatever reason you don't end up actually drafting manually. Next, we have franchise commentary. They've made some major improvements to make this a more immersive experience. The intense fourth quarter 2-minute drill and Super Bowl moments come to life with an unprecedented level of detail and intelligence. Announcers Brandon Gaudin and Charles Davis help to immerse you in the story of the season by highlighting the playoff hunt, recapping previous games, and announcing weekly award winners. You'll also hear Brandon and Charles discuss when an offensive player passes a certain yardage threshold in either rushing, passing, or receiving. Stay up to date with what's going on around the league with commentary related to other games in progress that appear in the bottom ticker. As you progress past year 1, you will start hearing lines for drafted players that deepen your immersion as you advance into your franchise. To go along with the new drafted player commentary, Franchise more frequently generates last names with audio. Those are all very cool. I don't play with commentary turned on, so I can't really say if I like commentary in 17. From what I have heard, I did like it, and I like the sound of these changes for those that have the commentary on and they want to hear a lot of this immersive dialogue. I think this is all really useful, and I hope it's accompanied by graphics. I would love that for more graphics and different talking points throughout the game. When I make my videos, obviously I have no commentary from the game, but I try to use their graphics as much and incorporate that into the episode, so I want more of that. Not sure if we're going to get more graphics or if it's just going to be dialogue based. Next, trade tuning. Trades are hard to make in the NFL. Some players are valued so highly that trading for them would be nearly impossible. Franchise now simulates this by addressing some types of players that were previously too easy to get from the trade system and would often leave teams without future investments. Now, hopefully that addresses what I talked about before. I don't like seeing teams trade their future picks. All rookies now have bonus trade value for the teams that drafted them, making them harder to trade for. That's very good. Players in the first year of a new contract now have bonus trade value for the teams that sign them, making them harder trade targets. Backup quarterbacks and running backs now also have bonus trade value, making them more difficult to snag. I think those are all very good additions. I'd like to see it go even a step further and add value to players who have superstar or quick development. Next up, free agent tuning. In free agency, an NFL player's market value becomes clearer the further into the free agency period you get. Players must weigh contract offers they have against their desired price and possibly risk having no teams willing to match the cost. Previously, players were too willing to accept low-value contracts if there was only one team offering terms. Franchise now ensures players don't accept unreasonably low offers. Players will no longer accept contract offers that are less than 30% of their desired price. There's also a chance that players have a chance to reject low-value offers at up to 70% of their target price. I do like the sound of that, but I still wonder how it's going to play out, because if nobody's interested, that's what created the situation where you could just offer a lowball contract and they would accept. So I wonder if they just decline that, what's the end game then for that player? Do they just stay free agents until you get to the preseason? I'm not sure. So I guess we'll have to see. But I do like that they have a little bit higher standards, it looks like, in terms of contracts they'll take. Up next, we have progression tuning, which affects several aspects of the franchise experience, including feedback on player performance, league balance, and simulation results. The progression system ultimately ties into nearly every system in the game because of how it affects player ratings. The franchise goal this year was to continue improving league balance deep into simulations while maintaining the natural fluctuations that arise from events like when new superstars enter the league. So what's happened? We have awards. They have decreased age-related bonus XP by 25% for youngest players, oldest players unchanged. Pro Bowls give more experience to offensive linemen, wide receivers, and defensive backs. All awards are capped at 32,000 experience. I think it makes sense to decrease the age-related bonus XP for the younger players because they don't take that many points to upgrade in the first place. If you have a player that's young or in his rookie season get player of the week, you can put a bunch of points into stuff. You can upgrade a ton of ratings for just one player of the week award. So I like seeing that balanced out a bit. Next up, goals. Increased wide receiver, seasonal, and weekly XP goals. Same for quarterback, O-line, cornerback, and defensive end. Adjusted defensive end season goal requirements, making it easier to complete. Training. Training rewards have been doubled for superstar and quick players, so that's going to help speed up their development and allow them to actually become superstar and Pro Bowl caliber players. For ratings, increased XP cost for physical ratings, speed, strength, acceleration, and agility. I thought those were already pretty expensive. I don't remember actually upgrading any of those in my Madden 17 franchise. There's also an increased physical ratings cost ramp at higher ratings. Upgrading from 95 to 99 in a physical rating costs about 200% more than last year. I wonder how many points it's going to take to upgrade these things. I already thought they were too high and I was worried about the actual football skills. I didn't think they were set too high in the game, I just thought they were too high to even worry about when there are so many other ratings that are simply more important than strength, speed, and all those other things. Younger players get an approximately 33% discount on physical ratings until age 27. So maybe there is some room there to improve a player's strength or speed in the first few years of his career. I kind of like that. I'll see how it plays out. And then reduced elusiveness cost to align with similar ratings. That was one that was always hard to make better. Next up, we have injury tuning, one of the things I've been looking forward to most in Madden 18. So what do they have to say? Injuries in football can happen to anyone on the field. With new off-ball injuries in gameplay and new tuning and simulation, the franchise system will more realistically reflect NFL injuries. I just have one question. Can kickers and punters get hurt? Imagine having to scoop up a kicker off the street when your star kicker gets hurt. Never done that in franchise before. So they've reduced the rate and severity of all injuries, but they've added off-ball injuries to gameplay as random events. So what I'm thinking happens here is they reduce the chance of an injury occurring, but increase the number of injury-causing opportunities, if that makes sense. So what I'm thinking is there's just less of a chance of injury for every event that could cause one, but there are just going to be a lot more opportunities where something could happen. They have also tuned the injuries to allow for more variance among position, reduced the frequency of severe injuries to be more in line with real-life injury occurrences. They've reduced relative frequency of long-term injuries of 6 or more weeks substantially, but they have increased the relative frequency of short-term injuries of 2 weeks or less. I'm hoping we see a good blend of the short-term injuries. Eventually, I'd love to see Madden get to the point where we have players who might not have to miss the game, but might still have a minor injury that is going to affect ratings, and you have to decide if you're going to play that player or not. But if we see more injuries in Madden 18 and more short-term injuries, so maybe your backup corner has to start a couple games or a safety misses a game here and there, I really want to see injuries be a part of franchise. It's a huge part of the actual NFL. It'll add difficulty to franchise in winning games and having successful seasons. And I've always wanted injuries to be more authentic. And simply increasing the injury slider in the past was not a solution. Simulated games had issues with injuries, and we still didn't have a good blend of long-term and short-term injuries. There were also some versions of Madden where putting the injury slider too high made it so quarterbacks would constantly get hurt. Up next, we have position grades. The way you evaluate your team is important for determining roster management goals. When letter grades were added, the intent was to help you make those evaluations quickly. However, the grades do not accurately describe how good your position depth is relative to the league. The franchise grading scale now more accurately reflects what good looks like, with adjusted ranges for position grades. It's now easier for position grades to obtain A and A+ position grades in the scouting and depth chart screens. I'm assuming this is talking about how, like, offensive line talent around the league is not great, so what might actually be a C+ or a B- might actually be closer to top 10 and should be reflected that way. I think having an 82 overall offensive lineman is a significantly bigger deal than having an 82 overall pass rusher or wide receiver. An 82 lineman is just simply more rare. Retirement. Quarterback is the most important position in football. It seems like the best quarterbacks can extend their careers well beyond most other NFL athletes. Franchise now allows quarterbacks to play out a realistically lengthy career when they deserve it. For example, Tom Brady will not always retire after one season. I hope this is very performance-based, but I'd also like to see some rating thresholds, like under 80 throw power, it's time to hang up the cleats. Preseason is an exciting time for teams as they make decisions to build their 53-man roster. Teams use this time to evaluate their players and test new strategies in a live competition instead of on the practice field. To make the experience more authentic, franchise has made some adjustments to preseason rules. Teams are no longer required to make cuts until the final week of the preseason. That is now in the actual NFL. They go from 90-man rosters down to 53, no longer the 75-man cut. And then they're going to have preseason games feature more authentic playing time for starters, and the starters will play 1 quarter in the first week, 2 in the second, 3 in the third, and 1 more in the fourth. Nice change there. Companion app. Looks like there's a new companion app for Madden 18. And you can view your schedule, receive notifications, and more. They have some information about that. And the following changes will be in Cloud Franchise when you jump into Madden 18, but are not currently available in offline. Cloud Franchise is recommended even when playing solo, since you get the most up-to-date tuning changes. So for additional progression tuning, wide receivers adjusted overall formulas to better reflect the value of generated versus base roster players. Rating upgrades. Adjusted priority for AI wide receivers so they upgrade more efficiently to boost their overall. They increase the cost of route running and release. XP changes. Increased XP on the best receiver award by 50%. Rookie changes. Increased frequency of generating top tier and undrafted wide receiver prospects. Decreased frequency of generating low to mid tier wide receiver prospects. Increased awareness maximum on all receiver prospects, and increased ranges for maximum ratings on top tier wide receiver prospects, and lowered minimum ratings for many mid-tier and low-tier receivers. For defense, reduced XP for left ends on season and career awards by 50%. The XP for outside linebackers on season and career awards is increased by 100%. Increased cost of power and finesse moves by approximately 80%. That was always an easier one in 17. Raised cost on impact blocking and tackle and lowered the cost ramp. raised cost on Madden zone coverage and lowered the cost ramp, increased XP on best DB award by 50%, decreased frequency of generating low to mid-tier cornerback prospects, and for quarterback, increased throw power priority, XP cost to accuracy have been increased, and they increased the cost of throw on the run and play action ratings. I like those changes, and it said in the previous paragraph that this was all going to be for cloud franchise, but not offline for some reason. A couple more sections. Regression is a necessary system for ensuring that franchise simulates the realistic rate of churn amongst NFL players. The average NFL career only lasts a few years. For the simulation to be accurate, more than half the league needs to be replaced every 3 years. Franchise now ramps players into the regression system slowly, so that you have more time to use these players and to execute a replacement plan. Wide receivers, corners, and running backs can no longer regress speed below 90 due to age. Adjusted regression points so they are introduced more slowly over time, and added new awareness regression for older players on underperforming teams. So it sounds like older players will still be very useful in franchise, which is awesome. I want to see players have a chance to have a Larry Fitzgerald-like career. Or maybe even Terrence Newman, who last year had an amazing season at 38 years old. In Madden 17, once a player hit 29, it was all downhill from there, and very fast. Relocation, to wrap this up. New franchise content gives players the opportunity to use current realistic relocation options. They have added Las Vegas as an option. They have removed Los Angeles and added San Diego. I wonder, will the Raiders move to Las Vegas by default if you leave it alone for a couple seasons? I wonder. So that wraps up a very long article here talking about franchise. There were some things that I liked, but I'll wait to see how much I like these aspects if they're done well. When it comes to injuries, it could be a big deal for franchise, or it could still need some work. So when the game comes out, you can bet I'll be spending a ton of time in franchise, talking about it here on the channel, and probably streaming some franchise and testing some things out and giving my thoughts on various features. I love franchise mode, and I'll be talking about the mode a lot more this season, about where the mode is at, where I want to see it go, and try to be a bit more vocal about it here on the channel. So leave your feedback down below in the comments section. What did you think of the news here regarding franchise mode? Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to the channel. Check out my Madden 18 news playlist to stay up to date on the game, and of course, check back when the game is actually out for a variety of different Madden NFL 18 content. Have a great day, everybody. I will see you in the next video.